Hey guys, James Christopher here, and we're just over here spitting pits on Let's Get To.
Welcome to Let's Get To, the baseball show from the fan's perspective. Now here's your host, James Christopher.
And welcome to Let's Get To. We are coming to you from beautiful Turtle Creek Stadium, home of your Traverse City Pit Spitters. We're having a great time tonight. This ballpark is immaculate. It's perfect. I cannot wait to show it to you. It's Princess Night. There's just so much fun in the air. There's a great vibe to be at the ballpark. We have a great show for you. We are bringing you real baseball from the heart of the sport. We got some great guests lined up, so stay with us.
I wanna be bad. I wanna be who the cool kids invite over.
From the Bleachers, the Let's Get To Game of the Week.
You ever get to a place you were looking forward to seeing, and just before you pull up, you get scared? Scared that maybe you've blown it up too big in your mind. Scared that there's no way it's going to meet your expectations. I was worried about that when we got to our first Pit Spitters game in Traverse City. I'd been looking forward to getting up there for years, but I will tell you, unlike Wally World, this place did not disappoint. When you walk up, the first thing you notice is the exterior of the concourse and its well thought out design. It didn't look like a regular ballpark. It looked like we were heading up to Baseball Town. The Pit Spitters burst onto the scene in 2019 with bold branding that made this show's top 10 and a winning tradition that has already seen a championship. The branding all the way around is meticulous and perfectly designed. It's fun. It might even be a little goofy, but in no way is it a parody of itself. It takes itself seriously. It's practically perfect in every way. Now, speaking of perfect, Turtle Creek Stadium earns that compliment. This place shoots to the top of our stadium list. The wide open concourse with views of the game from every vantage point to the trees in the outfield. And boy, did we get a great baseball sky that night. The seating, as you come to expect with newer ballparks, is diverse with great views all the way around. I really love the nice tables by the foul line surrounding the bullpens. And speaking of seating, I'm not a ball player, but this looks to be one of the best dugouts in baseball. Nothing crammed about it. Now, I'm not your adventurous eater when I'm at a ballpark. I leave that for Tim or Jessica. But I did get the cherry burger that has actual cherries cooked into the patty and a cherry salsa. I wish I'd ordered 3. In 2021, as we leave the pandemic and we see how divided our country is, we have a country where some of its citizens still think the earth is flat. We have a country that can't decide what color the space shuttle is, much less where we should go in any one political direction. It does me good to see baseball bring people together. I did have some fun at the speed pitch inflatable. On the one hand, I should be embarrassed by the 37 miles per hour I threw. On the other hand, I'm such a huge Kevin Smith fan that I'll allow it. It did help me prep for what the Pit Spitters Twitter account said was a perfect first pitch. Minor League Baseball, it's all about the promos, and tonight was Princess Night and the ballpark was ready. We saw little princesses. We saw Disney princesses. We saw a princess parade. We saw staff princesses. We even saw player princesses. And then the night ended with a father-daughter dance on the infield that was adorable. These nights are a great way to grow the game. They bring in younger crowds. They bring in different crowds. And for a sport that's losing its fans, and as its fan base gets older and older, we need that for the game to survive. And that was proof positive with the number of princesses in the team store buying ball caps and shirts. So, to a certain Astros beat writer who hates Princess Night, I say,
Let it go, let it go.
What a full night of fun at Turtle Creek Stadium. We had good food, we had good drinks, we saw great baseball, and we saw a whole new generation of fans fall in love with the game. It's a place that we've been wanting to come since we started the show, and unlike the Moose at the beginning of National Lampoon's Vacation, the ballpark was open and it didn't disappoint. All in all, the night was perfect, and as we pulled away, we knew it wouldn't be our last Pit Spitters game. See you next year, folks.
Holler and a Swaller, a chug of ballpark brew, presented by The Hitter Sports.
So we are back here on Let's Get To. This is our Holler and a Swaller segment brought to you by The Hitter Sports. Make sure you're following The Hitter Sports on Twitter. Now listen, what's really cool about being out here at Turtle Creek Stadium is a lot of the local beverage options that we have. Now right now we are out front of the Traverse City Whisky Company Pit Stop Bar, which means mixed drinks based on or using the local distillery here in town, Traverse City Whisky, which we've had. It's delicious. I'm having a Traverse City Mule in honor of Scott McIntyre, one of our contributors and great friend of our show. What's also cool about here is an incredible craft beer selection. And for that, we're going to go to our really good, spot-on reporter on the street, Jim. Thanks, Jim. And that's right. We have a great selection of alcohol here at the ballpark. Right now, we are at the Craft Beer Clubhouse presented by Shorts Brewing Company. Basically, it's a mini bar in there with nothing but craft beer, local beer. And I'm having from Founder Brewery the Cerise, which of course has to be a cherry-flavored beer. It's delicious. It's yummy. Y'all keep watching. I'm going to keep drinking. Holler and a Swaller, baby.
Who's on first? The Let's Get To Local 9, brought to you by Zoomer Sport.
So as we put a bow, or I guess a cherry stem tied in the shape of a bow for my Twin Peaks fans out there, wrapping up our Traverse City experience, we've got Britani back. Britani, first of all, thank you so much for kind of showing us around and showing us a good time last week at the ball game.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you guys for coming. I'm glad you guys had fun.
It was so much fun. It was the perfect combination of beautiful ballpark and really good ballpark entertainment in game, and I'm glad that we were there for Princess Night. So it was all in all a perfect night.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys had fun. Saturday was definitely fun with princesses and all that stuff.
Yeah, it definitely. So you guys are sitting here and you really have a handful of baseball games left. Is it a little bittersweet, or are you already starting to focus on what 2022 will look like?
We're always kind of looking forward to the next season, but it's a little bittersweet, just from last year when we played every day and going into September, and now we're almost done. So it's weird. Summer's definitely flown by, but yeah.
What will you do? Like, do you get some time off? Will you get like a long nap and then it's time to start working, or is it like, no, you're back?
Yeah, so we have a bunch of outside events planned for August and September and October, our last one being October 2nd, which is Nitro Circus here. So August, September, and the beginning of October will still be pretty busy, but I plan on taking a week and a half off in October just to kind of regroup and get ready to hit the ground running for 2022.
Do y'all do anything for the holidays out there? I mean, how far do your events go out at Turtle Creek Stadium?
Yeah, so honestly, Nitro Circus will probably be our last one, just because it gets cold up here and we get snow really early. So we can't really do anything once the snow hits. So that'll probably be the last one.
I keep forgetting that that's a reality for most of the country.
Yep.
Frozen precipitation. So let's look at what we have left. What do we have highlighted kind of going forward for the rest of the season?
Yeah, so we have 80s night on Thursday. We have superhero night on Saturday. We have corgi races on Tuesday. We have
corgi races?
Yes, corgi races. We've done it once already this season and it was hilarious. So we decided to bring them back for another night.
Yeah, I mean, corgis are proof God has a sense of humor. So I love it. That's great.
Yep. And then we have Harry Potter night on the 31st. And then we have Grease and 50s night on the 7th. And then we have our red out on the 12th for our last home game of the regular season. And then we start playoffs and we'll see what happens from there.
And yeah, I mean, I love the idea of the red out too. I think that really comes down to what I really enjoy the most about the experience is that you actually have fans who care whether you win or lose. And that isn't always the case across most of baseball.
Yep, definitely. And we definitely have the diehards. And even the people that might be more passive baseball fans, especially if the game's close, like the 7th, 8th inning, like they really start getting into it. They start cheering, they start paying attention. So it's really fun.
One of the things I found the most hilarious about the experience is the poor kid that they saddled for being the strikeout for half off beer because
Yep.
I've seen it before. I've never seen a PA guy keep reminding us of exactly who it was. I thought that was just hilarious.
Yes, our PA announcer Roy loves that one. So
Yeah. So as you look to 2022 and as you look, like, where do you see yourself going? Do you want to stay with the Pit Spitters, or do you see yourself like someday being a GM? I mean, how far down the road do you look for stuff like this?
Yeah, I'm the type of person, I don't really have a 5-year plan or a 10-year plan. I kind of just see what comes up and I take opportunities as they come. I really love being in Traverse City. So as for right now, I'm planning on being here for at least the foreseeable future.
I'll be honest, we kind of fell in love with Traverse City. We will be back next year to see a game, and I think we're going to stay at Mackinac Island. We didn't get to do that because of the stupid weather. So
yeah,
there we go. Well, Brittany, thanks so much for being a big part of our show, and thanks for jumping on real quick to kind of putting a wrapping on our Traverse City experience.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming. Definitely, you guys are welcome back anytime.
Seventh inning stretch. A look at baseball's hometown.
The best part about traveling for ball games is the community you get to meet and experience. It's why I love covering minor league baseball, because I'm ending up at places that maybe I might not have been able to get to if I was just planning a trip. A Google image recon of Traverse City told us we were going to fall in love with the place, and boy, were we right. Traverse City immediately grabbed us with its beautiful views and overall feel. We had an amazing time at the National Cherry Festival. So much cherry goodness, and I love events like this for the same reason I love minor league baseball. It is a window into some of the more important communities in our country that maybe just don't get the notice or the recognition they deserve. And did I mention the cherry pie? But there was more to do in Traverse City besides eat cherries, much to my chagrin. We had great beer at Rare Bird Brewpub. We had an amazing breakfast with lots of alcohol at Brasserie Amie. I know I pronounced it incorrectly. And then we had some sweet desserts at Potter's Bakery. The history buff in me was excited to get out to Mission Point Lighthouse and check out how the lighthouse worked and how the people who used to run the lighthouse had to live. One of my favorite songs is America the Beautiful, because I do believe at its core, both its landscape and its people are just that, beautiful. And it was exciting to get out to Traverse City and take in this Great Lake community and really feel that beauty and get to be a part of it. Truly an amazing experience, and we're already making plans for a return trip in 2022.
On deck, the Let's Get To interview. Brought to you by Marco Fine Arts.
And so we're excited to jump into our On Deck segment, our interview of the week with Ryan Schwam. He is the head of ALPB Roundup, which is the Atlantic League of Professional Baseball, doing some news and analysis. Ryan, first of all, how's it going, man?
It's going really well. It's a seasonable day up here in Pennsylvania. It's not so humid that I just want to take a nap.
There you go. Yeah, it's been really unseasonably cool down here in Austin, Texas, too. So knocking on all the wood that stays going, stays the thing.
Tempting fate there.
Let's talk a little bit about you. So you really focus on sharing the story, sharing the news of the Atlantic League. How did you get started and get interested in that in the first place?
The topic, boredom, and the league, sheer luck. I love baseball. I've always loved baseball. And for a while, I worked with a minor league team, the Blue Rocks up here in Wilmington. And then I ended up in a different career path, which I really enjoyed. And then I kind of started hitting the slog of like adult jobs that weren't as fun. And I started really rediscovering. I mean, I always watched baseball on TV. It was on constantly. My girlfriend, now wife, she dealt with lots of baseball on TV. And finally, it was a couple of years ago, I really sort of reignited my passion for going to games. And that eventually led me to some Atlantic League games, come right in the heart of it up here. And it was like nothing I'd seen before, and that it has the competitiveness of Major League Baseball and the talent level of like really good AAA ball, but without it's sort of that quirkiness. It has that quirkiness of minor league baseball, which is just like, oh, so dear to my heart. I love it so much. So it just hit me right where I wanted to be. And I became infatuated with this league. I saw 3 games in the span of, I think, 3 weeks to end the 2019 season. And then January 1st, 2020, I was just all in. I was like, I want to cover this league. I don't have a game plan. I didn't plan on a whole year off with no Atlantic baseball. Yeah. That was not the best timing. I got to be honest with you, but I got lots of practice at writing about stuff that wasn't games. And it was really, it just dove right into the deep end with it. And I've fallen completely in love with this league and the craziness that goes with it.
One of the things I dig about the Atlantic League, from my experience going to Skeeters games before they became the AAA affiliate of the Astros, is it does feel like, I'm an indie filmmaker by trade. It feels like independent film. It can be a little more daring in its production value. It can be a little bit more out there because there's no corporate sponsorship or corporate boss. Talk to me a little bit about what attracted you to that game day environment, of what it's like to be there, how it is a little different than, say, being at the Iowa Cubs or for example.
So speaking to that, I guess my experience working with the Blue Rocks in the past, which was a great experience. I loved every moment of it. And they were in the Royals organization at the time, which is a terrific organization to be involved with. But even there was a lot of sort of confines. And if you want to do a certain idea, you got to run it up the chain. It's got to get signed off on by everybody that you've ever met. And that kind of complicates some things. And you can tell that indie ball, a lot of the time, they can be a little more off the cuff with it, and they're not afraid to have an idea just completely fail. And most of them don't, because when you have that kind of thought process where everything's on the table, you end up with some really good stuff that you can choose from. There's a couple of things that you notice, like it's weird things like certain stadiums, not everyone can do it, but like certain stadiums, they can do instant replay, which is weird, but you can't really do that in minor league baseball because of the rules around the game and how the umps work with that. Like you're limited what you can do. So it's little fan experience things that you can do. Not as limited with like the sponsorships you can do. Not that minor league baseball overly is. I think my cover letter for any job I apply for these days references a funeral giveaway I was involved with at the Blue Rocks. But I mean, everything just feels a little more free flowing. And the weirdest thing is the stakes feel higher when the players aren't just there to develop. Obviously, 90% of the guys are trying to make it to a different league and get a major league organization to notice them. But the team's goal themselves, the front office's goal, is to win a championship. And I think that's a very cool thing. And the buy-in, more than anything, the buy-in from the town because of that is totally different. The relationship to Blake Galen for the Lancaster Barnstormers fans, they just sent him off for the Olympics, is like, you can feel it. Like the appreciation posts that were on Instagram, the way the crowd reacted to him the last weekend of games, like they love Blake Galen. I don't remember many minor league players that a team or a fan base loved, other than guys who were not going anywhere. Like, oh, you're here. If you get a bobblehead day in single A and you're still there, it's a concern.
Yeah. No, I think you hit the nail on the head, because that is the difference, right? The difference is, yes, they're there to develop. Yes, those guys want a better job. And you start to see that more with them being a partner league now, right? Like you're seeing more guys get, quote, bought out. We'll talk about that in a second. But you do feel like they're there to win on any given day. You see the same thing in collegiate summer league baseball. Those guys are there for those 90 days, and they want to win baseball games. How has the landscape been different this season with the partner league status? Are you seeing more guys bought out? I know I see it in the American Association all the time. Are you seeing a little bit more traffic amongst players?
So there's a couple things going on there. This is year 2 for, I guess season 2, we'll call it year 3 if we're trying to count 2020 as anything. The Atlantic League is in season 2 of being a partner league. They were like the first one in the door, and then the other leagues kind of got to pack in. The Atlantic League did see, it's a mixed bag a little bit, because there was hesitancy at first where the players knew that being a partner league would mean you might have some test rules, which the Atlantic League certainly did. And there was some hesitancy there because guys are like, hey, I am having a hard enough time making it in regular baseball. Let's not try like some sort of either Manfred era baseball or whatever the case may be. So there was hesitancy there, but we seem to be kind of hitting our stride with that, and things have settled. This year, the real, by far unprecedented number of signings, and I don't want to speak out of my depth here because number of players signed is not an expertise of mine historically. I know for a fact this year, I think we're about 70 players signed in this calendar year to major league organizations, which is, every day I wake up and just burn another part of my projections that I've done, which is fine. It's okay. I'm just hitting my head off of a desk every day, but it's fine. But it's good to see, and it creates more of a buy-in from the players, and I think the fans to a certain extent as well. I would summarize it by saying it's year one might have been more experimental. Year two, I think major league teams have a better idea of what's going on in the Atlantic League.
Sure.
What these rules have, how these rules affect things. And now they also see that a lot of these rules are coming into minor or major league baseball, and they can kind of, it's not so much a concern as it is, hey, the selling point. They've already played with some of these rules. They know the pitch clock, they know the strike zone, whatever else. So I think that's
the mound getting moved back.
Oh man. I with no inside sources, I see it happening. I don't see them pushing it for a second season in a row. I know pitchers aren't happy about it. That's for sure. They've had multiple things to complain about already at this point, but I see it happening. I think it's going to be interesting to see. I know they're not necessarily moving the whole mound back. They're just moving the rubber back, and they're actually going to have some sort of like retractable rubber situation, so they still can host like games for other leagues. So that's going to be a whole interesting thing. The fact that that plan is that far into the works, I gotta say they're going to go for it.
Okay, let's talk about the makeup of the league real quick. And one of the things that I love about your website is you are tracking this like you are the Atlantic League's ESPN, right? You have projections out, you have standings, you have scores. Like it's detailed, and I can feel the love, and I can feel the sort of passion that goes into that. We love passion on this show. The Atlantic League went through some adjustments. You saw some teams leave, you saw some teams go. The Skeeters leaving, I have to imagine, actually might have been easier on the team, on the league itself, because that travel had to have been awful. Losing Somerset, getting Lexington. Talk to me a little bit about the makeup, the geography of the league, and kind of where you see it going.
Yeah, so I think the unspoken thing was things did get a lot easier losing Sugar Land. Now, Sugar Land, obviously, with Houston throwing them right into AAA, it's a great market, so that is a loss for the league. But I think it has settled some things a little bit. With that in Somerset, with them in Somerset dropping out, it did create some pressure to find some teams, especially as some of these ones sort of fell off the grid as something that we can really sign, either because they weren't Atlantic League quality or because another league snatched them up. I think the response from the league has been careful and intelligent. In the past, they've gotten burned in a couple markets trying to put a team in that didn't belong. They've run a Road Warriors team out there before, the old traveling baseball team, and it was pretty clear that they were going to do it in 2020. And I think it was clear that they were hesitant to do it even then. And this year was also pretty clear that they weren't going to do it. I think they found a good mix. Before talking about what the loss of Somerset really means to the league, I think they did do a very good job pulling Lexington and West Virginia. So at least they're sort of attached teams that, because West Virginia does play in Charleston, and Lexington, that's sort of, it makes sense geographically. You can hit that in one road trip for a team. So Long Island isn't traipsing all the way down to Kentucky. You just have to come back through Maryland and north. So that was an intelligent way to do it. They added Gastonia as well. That was a planned thing before even last year. So they're being smart about it. The league has definitely shifted down from almost entirely the Northeast of New England into the Long Island Ducks are right now the northernmost team. And there used to be 4 teams in Jersey. There's now none without Somerset there, which is a big loss. But they seem to be trying to keep it more Northeastern. Again, looks like they're going to have Staten Island coming in next year. That was, but much to Rob Pimpsner's excitement on Twitter. And they should be adding one more team. I know there's some thought that it could be Salem, Virginia, with the Red Sox affiliate there, that they are still affiliated, but they might be moving to Lowell. So that's where I'm now out of my depth. But it's been definitely good to sort of focus in the league geographically, helps travel costs, especially after 2020. There's definitely a hole there where you've replaced Sugar Land, Somerset with Lexington, who has good attendance summers and they're growing, as well as Gastonia, who seems to be doing well, West Virginia, who struggles attendance-wise, and honestly, High Point, who's still been down. This is their second year, their attendance-wise. So that's something that the league is definitely watching. We're hoping they can really strike gold with Staten Island.
Yeah, it seems like getting back into that market is huge for this league. How's fan reaction been? I mean, are they just glad baseball's back in some of these communities?
I definitely think that's the case. I think Lexington, from what I can tell, I have limited interaction with fans, especially because Lexington, me being just outside of Philly, that's a hike for me. So I got to do a whole separate road trip in the second half to actually get to Lexington and Charleston even. But from social media interaction, from watching games and just talking to people, Lexington seems to have responded really well to the Legends. They seem to good baseball IQ in that area. They've noticed that, hey, Lexington Legends, they were actually below the Blue Rocks who I worked for. This is a much higher quality of baseball all of a sudden coming in with the Atlantic League, because very often you have guys who are on an MLB roster one day and then they get dropped, but they come right to an Atlantic League team, a lot of familiar faces, a lot of guys who will be in the league again. So I think they've caught on to that very well. I think other organizations, maybe West Virginia, is a little slower to pick up on what's going on, but they're, I think, going to undertake a rebrand, which should help things a little bit too. But other than that, I mean, this league's fan base are really good. There are York fans who are there every day. Barnstormers fans is a whole thing. They love that team. I mean, if you go to certain nights of the week, man, good luck finding a seat without being elbow to elbow with somebody. So they've answered the bell in the Atlantic League, whether they're just happy to see baseball again or happy to see, specifically the Atlantic League. They're definitely, the fans have reacted well this year.
And it looks like, the Legends popped in and just started wrecking shop and are really running away with the Southern Division right now.
Man, yeah. So my impressions from this front office they have over there is Mike Koltek. He's done a great job. He's also been pitching for the team occasionally, which is the true indie ball experience. He hit the indie ball. He had the indie ball hat trick the one weekend. He did the front office work. He pitched, and he also was the pitching coach that weekend. So he got dugout management. He got front office management. He got on the field. So he's doing it. But my read off of him and several conversations with him is he is one of the most passionate front office people I've seen in any line of baseball. It seems to be something that he's always wanted to do. And now he's finally, whether it was the plan or whether it wasn't the plan, had the opportunity to really do it. And boy, has he made the most of it. I mean, he is calling in every favor. I mean, guys fall out of the league all the time, getting signed by major league organizations. And Lexington right now is the only team where they're replacing a major league caliber player with a major league caliber player consistently. And I can't imagine the headache that is if you're competing for a division title with them right now.
Yeah, and what a really good statement they would make if they win a division and go on to win the Atlantic League, to say just to keep their fans engaged, having lost affiliated ball. It's weird to me how fans care about that stuff, but they apparently do.
Yeah, it seems to. And I mean, fans are odd. Going back to Wilmington, I saw it when it's probably 2003. Boston actually became the affiliate for Wilmington for a few years instead of Kansas City, and the fans did not react well. And now Washington's the affiliate for Kansas City instead of Kansas City for Wilmington, and the fans don't seem to have reacted that well. So there's a lot of things that can go into it. I think it's the connection to maybe the organization that you feel like you lose. But if the team goes to indie ball and can do a really good job of saying, hey, it's us trying to win, like Lexington, the town trying to win, I think that's a very interesting buy-in. It's a little bit different.
A little bit different. Hey, we want to thank you, Ryan, for jumping on. Where can everybody find you?
You can find me at ALPBRoundup.com, ALPB_Roundup on Instagram, at ALPB Roundup on Twitter. I think I got them all. ALPB Roundup on YouTube. That's the other one. Okay.
We'll get your links down here for you. And so I know you're traveling around to see these teams. What's your next trip?
Next trip is likely going to be Southern Maryland. And then I will do the probably Gastonia for a second time, road trip with High Point after that. So
okay,
we'll see.
I'll be in Southern Maryland in October for their closing weekend and tossing out the first pitch. It's going to be a good time.
Oh, wow. Man, I'll just be sitting in the bleachers like an idiot. All the connections.
We'd love to have you out and put you on the show live. Thanks so much, Ryan, for jumping on.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me. I love the show. It was really exciting to have you reach out.
Who's on first? The Let's Get To Local 9, brought to you by Zoomer Sport.
So we're excited to welcome on our Who's on First segment, our team of the week, Kelcy Nash. She is the GM of the Pierre Trappers. Kelcy, how's it going?
It's good, but I'm going to correct you off the bat. It's pronounced Pierre and not Pierre.
See, this is why we have Pierre Trappers. Okay.
Pierre, yeah, because Pierre is a dehydrated Frenchman.
You see, we are already off and rolling. I got to tell you, we have a regular segment with the Fond du Lac dock spiders, and they never told me it's pronounced lac. They've been coming on our show for a year and a half, so already. So Pierre Trappers.
Pierre Trappers, yeah.
You see, we are learning things every day. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How did you end up going from
someone who I presume liked sports to now being a member of a front office for a collegiate summer league team?
Well, it's kind of a roundabout story. Obviously, yeah, I like sports. I've been a coach. I've was an athletic director in a previous, career. I've done actually a lot of different things, but I discovered the Trappers by accident. The first summer they were in Pierre as an athletic director, kind of have some of the summer free. So I found the game, and the season had been in about 3 weeks, and I missed the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season, found it, and I haven't missed a game since. I just enjoyed the atmosphere. I enjoyed the environment that was there. Baseball's kind of second. I mean, the secondary part of it to me, it's about the fun of being at the ballpark, and just having a good time. So after the first 3 seasons, I found out that their former GM was taking another position, and I honestly ran into the team owner in the bar one night, and we started talking, and the next thing I know, I have a job.
I love that. Let's talk a little bit about the Trappers real quick, because they are in the Expedition League. I don't know why I choked for a second. And that is a league full of great brands. The Sasquatch. I mean, there's so many good looks, but y'all's look is one of the best. What is it about? How does it connect to the community?
Well, Pierre originally had a team similar to this back in the 50s, 60s called the Pierre Cowboys. And I know when they first started coming up with team names, they had fans submit suggestions, and the Cowboys were a strong contender to come bring that back. Ultimately, I understand they chose the Trappers. It just kind of fit in with the area, the hunting and the fishing and the wildlife of central South Dakota, and so they picked the mascot, the Trappers.
Yeah, it's a great look. I love the detail with the bear trap thing. When you can find those little details, it's what matters. You talked about it being about family fun, and it's about a good time at the ballpark, and I think we all agree that that's mostly what matters. Obviously the players are getting something out of it when it comes to development, but talk a little bit about that, just what it's like at a peer ball game if you're a member of the community coming out to see a game.
The thing that I've always said about this is it's been all about the kids. They focused, in previous season, they focused so much on the entertainment of the fans, the kids, the between inning games, whatever. What I noticed and what I pulled from it was the connection that the players have with the kids in our community. You will see our players playing catch with kids before the game. You'll see them talking to them in the dugout, throughout the game. We have kind of a grate on the backside of our dugout where the kids can kind of bend down and look down and talk. And to me, that's been the greatest connection, is between the players and the kids. The other thing is our host families are so vitally important to our program, where our players stay with host families while they're here for the summer. I've heard many, many stories about host families. They travel to vacation with their former players.
I love that.
The host family kids have been in these players' weddings, in the past. It's amazing the connection that they make with these new families. People say they're just another one of my kids. I bring them in, I feed them, I do their laundry, they sleep here, but yet they're still just like another one of my kids, even though they were here for just 3 months.
Do you often have sort of culture shock when you get, I'm looking at the roster, you have folks from like Long Island, Georgia, Southwestern, to sort of have them adapt to kind of a smaller town life?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's a challenge for them when there isn't a Starbucks on every corner, or there isn't easy shopping. Honestly, it's a hard town to shop in, because there just isn't a lot of retail other than a Walmart, a Runnings, different things like that. So if you needed to go buy a dress shirt for something, you're going to struggle, just because the shopping has faded away in this economy, where the big stores are not there anymore. So that's a shock to them too, but they're so busy. A lot of times they don't really have a lot of downtime. But we are right on the river. We're on the Missouri River, so they find a lot of activities with that. and golfing, and they keep themselves pretty busy.
I imagine, just looking at photos, it actually looks really, really pretty. I want to give you guys a big compliment because your social media game is on point. And I think that's something that, I mean, first of all, it's how I found you, right? Like how a guy in Austin, Texas found you. I got to give credit though, because there was a tweet last night. Again, the Pierre Trappers official Twitter account. We'll have the link down here. And it said, unfortunately, Adams does not advance the second round, but that doesn't make us any less proud of him. I don't know what about that tweet just sort of tickled me. It felt very like minor league, collegiate summer league baseball.
Absolutely. I mean, I have an intern who does most of our social media, because before they get here, our social media game is very weak on my part. So they have adapted, kind of jumping in, and I promote being fun, but being respectful. I'm not a big Twitter fan. I go through it, but I'm not a big, denigrate people. Don't bring them down. Don't be mean. I want it to be positive and fun. I am all for a little good banter. I'm all for that, but keep it clean, keep it fun. Don't bring somebody down. So that's the thing that I've stressed with my intern on that is have fun with it, but be respectful.
I think we need a lot more of that. I think Twitter is, it's a mean cesspool. And so I don't know. It's absolutely the worst. So we have a few weeks left in the season. I think that's the sort of curse of the Collegiate Summer League season right now. You are on your All-Star break. What can we look forward to for the last couple of weeks as we get closer to the season's end?
Well, we start a 6-game road trip. So after the All-Star break, we actually head up to Butte, Montana for a 4-game series. Then they swing back down through Spearfish for a couple games. We have a couple games at home, back on the road again down to Fremont. And then we end our season with 6 games at home. So that'll be kind of nice. We started our season with about 6 or 7 at home, and we get to end with 6 or 7 at home. We're working on a lot of, just like I said, fun activities. We have a lot of good game sponsors throughout the season, and we have quite a few here at the end of the game to finish out our season.
And last question, you have one foot in this season. When do you start putting a foot in the next season and start thinking about what 2022 is going to look like? Or have you already started?
Oh yeah, you already start. That's just part of the nature of the job. As the behind the scenes person, you're always working on something down the road. You're never just focused on the game at hand. So I've always kind of said this, whether as an athletic director or even in this job, once that game day has come, that my job should be done. If my staff is there, if my players are there, if my umpires are there, my job is done. I'm moved on to tomorrow or next season or whatever, because I can't do anything to change today's stuff. I'm there to fix it, but we're looking at partnerships for next year. We're looking at different activities to bring in and things like that for next season. So it's always a spinning cycle.
Well, next season, I'm hoping to be at the ballpark. I cannot wait to get out there. She is Kelcy Nash. She is the GM of the Pierre, as we've learned, Trappers. Thanks so much for jumping on Let's Get To.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
If you're down and the count 1 strike away, choke up and crowd the plate and put the ball in play.
Let's Get To presents In the Dog Pound, a look at the Portland Sea Dogs.
We are excited to be back in the doghouse with Emma Tiedemann. Our look at the Portland Sea Dogs. Emma, this is coming out Thursday or Friday of this week, but how big of a deal is having Chris Sale Day? You already said you're sold out. A little bit about just that element of minor league baseball and how cool that is.
It's super cool. This will be my first major league rehab, so it still is new to me. But it's a huge element of minor league baseball, because when these major leaguers come down, especially to a market like Portland, which is so close to the big league club, such a huge part of Red Sox Nation, there's something extra in the air about it. And so we were selling tickets left and right, even before it was official that he was coming to Portland. And then once we announced it on our social media, went like hotcakes. So we're going to have a packed house tonight here. And it's cool for the fans. It's cool for the players, getting to play for Chris Sale, not to mention our catcher, gets to catch Chris Sale. So there's a lot of different elements to it, but I can't wait for tonight.
Is he slated to stay there for a few games, or is he working his way back up to the AAA club?
We haven't, it could kind of go either way. I think it's all dependent on how he feels after each start. That's kind of how the Red Sox approached it with his outing in Florida. Wanted to see how he was even the day following that start, just to make sure that everything felt okay in his arm. And then that's how it worked out, that we were back home here for 2 weeks. So he could be here for a day or he could be here for longer. But it's going to be a night that we're all going to soak in regardless of how long he's here for.
Any word on whether he's fulfilling the tradition of taking care of the guys? I know usually the major leaguers that come in buy him dinner or something. Have we heard if that's happening yet?
Actually, when he was here throwing a bullpen, I heard that he bought a new sound system for the weight room. So he's already, kind of one of the guys, and he hangs out around here all the time and spends a lot of time in the clubhouse with them.
So cool. World Series champion and being around those guys has to have a nice ripple effect through the organization. I mean, it's a tangible result to their hard work.
Definitely. And when you look at what the big league club is doing right now and how they want to have Sale back for a postseason push and, really has a good chance to go deep in the postseason. And now he's in the AA level where we're on a franchise, possibly setting a franchise record tonight with a winning streak, and everything is clicking for the team at this level. It's cool to see kind of, have him here to represent the big league club and what they could accomplish as they move up the system in the Red Sox.
I'm gonna have to make sure I watch that game to see what's at stake, and we'll wrap that part up. I just real quick before we jump into what else is coming. I don't know, have you been paying attention to what your former club, the Lexington Legends, have been doing in the Atlantic League? They are dominating down there. Well,
I have to pay attention because I am marrying their chief operating officer.
Right.
So, every night we talk about Sea Dogs and Legends. But yeah, they are killing it in the Atlantic League right now. It's a lot of fun to watch, and I don't think anyone expected them to be so successful right out the gate. But yeah, they're great. And I think they'll clinch the playoffs here pretty soon, I assume. So
yeah, I think that's like an 8-game lead. I was like, boy,
yeah.
I'd love for my team to have an 8-game lead but anyway, that's a whole other thing. You guys have a really big homestand starting again tonight. A lot of fun stuff, but I want to go through some of what's happening. And I want to start with Maine Red Snappers. Have we talked about that before? This sounds intriguing.
I don't think we have, actually. It is so the Red Snapper is a kind of hot dog, very local to Maine. Even people from New Hampshire sometimes haven't even tried it. So it's cool that it's kind of hyper localized in this area, but it's all to do with the casing of the hot dog. It adds literally a snap to it. I did try my first one when we announced that we were going to be the Red Snappers, and I can say that it tastes the same, but it definitely snaps every time you bite into it.
Okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and it also is hot pink, which is why our colors on Saturday night will be featuring the pink as well, but with the main Trapper hat too on the little logo. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that sounds like it's going to be a blast. The other thing I want to talk to you about was Witchcraft and Wizarding night, which I noticed no team calls it Harry Potter night because I guess you're not allowed to. J.K. Rowling be suing people. But anyway, we're doing Witchcraft and Wizardry night. What can we look forward to then?
I mean, I think the concourse will be decorated. We have a lot of Witchcraft and Wizardry fans in the front office. So people will be dressed up. We'll have different wands and all that kind of stuff out for the fans as well, and kind of just immerse Hadlock Field into a feel of a Witchcraft and Wizardry-esque environment.
Emma, you're very good at your job. Let me just say this from you're amazing at your job. Speaking of your job, so this is your second to last huge homestand. You'll have another block there. Once the season got going, how fast did it move?
I mean, it's still moving at warp speed to me. One of my best friends is another broadcaster, and he kind of helped me put into perspective and say, be where your feet are. And it's actually what I heard Tristan Costas say as well, because he's had a great season and is going to the Olympics now. And so it's being where my feet are. And so, tonight yes, I'm running around crazy, getting ready for my normal game day duties, but expecting roster moves for both teams on the first day of a 12-game homestand. But it's kind of special to take a second, at least once or twice a day, and just kind of soak it all in. This is, a historic day with Chris Sale, but then our team is really, really good and has a fantastic opportunity at playoffs as well. So trying to soak in every moment, but it flies by. I can't believe it's almost August.
Yeah, as a teacher, I can't either, Emma. Before we go, I want to talk a little bit about some political stuff. We've talked about that on the show before. It seems like we are heading toward a real, at least really big steps as far as representation goes in the broadcast booth. The Orioles, of course, are going to do an all-female broadcast. Just as someone else who is, a female broadcaster, how does that feel to you to see all of this really start to happen? And it seems like quickly over the last few seasons.
It's awesome. It's cool to see the fact that, just a couple of years ago, I was only one of 2 women broadcasting minor league baseball with Kirsten Karbach, who I just saw actually last week. And then to see now that tonight we'll have Melanie Newman and Sarah Langs and Alana Rizzo, and they'll all 3 be on the same broadcast. And the only voice you'll hear is a female voice tonight on YouTube TV. So I think it's awesome of how quickly it has moved. And it makes me really excited to get in there someday. And, hopefully by the time I'm, make the major leagues, it won't be a huge story and I can just go and do my job and Melanie will get all the attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, Melanie and I talked a little bit last week, and she was, just so excited for it. And I told her, I was like, yeah, you can have all the stories and everything. I'll just sit back and slide into a job quietly. But I think it's great that they're getting the recognition that they deserve. And, I think it's cool for Melanie because she gets to call on YouTube again, but it's now her team. And so she gets to add that extra layer of familiarity with Orioles fans as well. So it'll be great. I obviously can't watch it tonight because I'll be busy with my own game. But tomorrow morning while I'm doing my game notes, I'll have it on and be listening to the 5 female voices. It's awesome.
I actually do really like how YouTube does that as well, where they bring in the color people from the 2 opposing teams, because you get an insight. I think the playoffs should be that way. I think you might have more people watching instead of me finding out how old Juan Soto is every 5 seconds, which is the only anecdote they know. Last question. You did mention your fiance working for Lexington. How's that been, you guys being so far apart and working these high demand stuff? Have y'all been able to talk all the time and at least keep some military experience? I know what it's like to be separated. How's that been?
It's been fine. Actually, he's been working up here since January. So he's been working remotely for Lexington and West Virginia. And we knew that I think last season, if it wasn't canceled, it was going to be long distance. It was going to be tough. So this year, the fact that, he does have to go back to Lexington or West Virginia occasionally, but I have to travel on the road with the team. We both knew it was coming. We both know it'll probably be a part of our future for a very long time, with one of us gone for roughly a fourth of the year. So we've just kind of settled in. He loves baseball and loves minor league baseball. So he's already visited me in Reading this last weekend. He has plans to visit Binghamton and Somerset. So I think he's just living it up, going to different ballparks every different weekend and, just kind of riding with, oh, you're going here this week? Oh, maybe I'll be there. So it's fun. It is really cool that, to have him with me and, we're kind of killing the game, both minor league and partner league.
Yeah, it's there are definitely worse ways to spend your day. She's Emma Tiedemann. She is the voice of your Portland Sea Dogs. Good luck on Chris Sale night and Wizard and Witchcraft night.
Thank you so much.
Show me the merch. The best from the pro shop.
I'll catch this bird for you, but it ain't going to be easy. It's a bad fish. Yes, Quint, it was a bad fish. This is Show Me the Merch, and I'm wearing this awesome new set that got me inspired to play Jaws in my office, the Durham Bullsharks. Anybody that knows me or has watched our other show or even this show knows I'm pretty shark obsessed, and I'm Shark Week obsessed. Jaws is my favorite film, and when this look came out, I flipped, and I had to buy it driving in this derpy part between like Illinois and St. Louis, but I ended up getting this really sweet 5950 of the Bull Sharks logo. First of all, let's look at the Bullsharks logo. I love it. It's clearly inspired by the Bulls, but different enough that it stands alone and would be really a great logo even if this were just a full-time team. But the jersey is what really pops for me. It's pretty. It's very pretty to look at. It's got this sort of gradient ocean floor thing going on. It looks like you're sort of inverted and looking up. It's just a very pretty looking jersey. Again, it was an interesting decision to go this route as opposed to doing something a little funny or a little cartoony. They also have the traditional Durham Bulls logo on the sleeve in case you forget who you're rooting for. And they do have a sort of more cartoony looking bull shark carrying the bat. The whole thing works out. I hope this is not a look that comes and goes. I hope it stays with Durham year after year, maybe some different looking jerseys so I can keep collecting. But I know the jerseys are sold out. Trust me, I refreshed and did everything I could to get my hands on one, which I did. So thank you to everybody at the team store. But the hats are in stock. Keep checking. These are really great, one-of-a-kind looks that you're not going to want to miss out on.
And now, on to close it out, the right-hander from Houston, Texas, James Christopher.
So that does wrap up this episode of Let's Get To. I'm sitting out here in one of the best seating areas in the ballpark, right above the home bullpen, where your pit spitter arms are getting ready to close this thing out. We've had a great time at this ballpark. I hope everybody gets a chance to get out here. One of the coolest parts was getting buzzed by a hot air balloon. We'll show you the footage right now.
Look, up in the sky. It's not a bird. It's not a plane. It's not even Superman. It is a hot air balloon. And as the balloon got closer and closer, we put that in the category of, well, there's something you don't see every day. But in true minor league baseball fashion, the game played on. Like literally, while the balloon was going. This hitter is 1 for 1 in games in which a balloon almost lands on the field.
Definitely a surreal moment down here in Traverse City. So I hope everybody has a great week of watching baseball. We've had a great time again. Thank you to Britani and everybody at the Traverse City Pit Spitters for making us feel at home. It's been our episode. Thanks for everybody for watching. Thanks for coming on. Don't forget to get out to a ballpark, have some fun, and let's get to.